Hello, welcome back to the 500 workshop. So we've had our engine out, now it's time to put our engine back in, and it's going to be the reverse of everything we did with the engine out. We're going to use our checklist to go back through everything as we go, make sure we've done everything before we even attempt to start the engine. So let's get on with the job. So I'm having to do this solo this time, don't have my helper with me. As I said before, it is possible to do, but it's more tricky. You're going to have to operate the jack, balance it all as well, make sure that it's where it needs to be. So I know we're up off the bricks now. I'm going to try and move the bricks out of the way with just my feet. Come around this side, same here. I don't have to move the bricks, but with the way the jack is, it's very tight in between these bricks, so just going to move them slightly so they don't impede the jack as we walk it forward. So what we're trying to do as we do move forward is, and we're going to do this very slowly, is we need to engage the clutch and the gearbox. Right, so this is not the steadiest thing in the world. I'm going to get it past these bricks and then lower it down slightly, because we're going to have to come up through the engine bay. Let's just move that side, so I'm going to have to drop this, but very gently. Okay, a little bit more maybe. I can always come up again if we need to. Whoa, and we're sliding. Over a bit that way, and then to move this hose out of the way. There really isn't a lot of room when you do it this way. It would be great if you had a four post lift or something, and you could drop the engine in and out quite easily then, but right, I can see that we're not too far away from where the gearbox is, and now we need to come up. We need to, as we come up, just make sure we're not touching on the sides. No exhaust, definitely wants to scrape a little bit. There we go. Right, we're not too far off. Just going to come up a little bit more. Oh, we're tantalisingly close. It is easier with two people. If you ever get to the point where you're struggling with something, just take a moment, just take a breather. It's best to recollect your thoughts before you go pushing on and damage something. So just going to take a breather a second and then have another look. Okay, and we're on. Brilliant. So we're going to quickly, before we do anything else, get the top bolts in to make sure it's secure. So we're going to get our bolts, which are our 13s, in here quite quickly. Top 3 we're looking to do, and that should secure us in enough to be able to then start doing the other areas. Again, it's all by feel. So remember, the top 2 are bolts, and the 3rd one along here is a nut. Get our 13 ratchet in here and do these up tight. That's one. Again, make sure you're doing the right bolt. There's lots of them behind here, so you just need to make sure you're feeling and looking for those right bolts. Okay, so that's done. So the engine now is attached to the gearbox, and we can start putting all the stuff back on as we did before, and building it up. So it's a good job. So our next job is to put our rear brace back on. So that goes in there. We get our nuts for this. Here we have them. I'm going to start throwing them on by hand. Make sure that we have some security. It's not going to fall off. one side. Let's get this one started. Let's try it on the bottom. Thread on this is not great by the feel of it. So back with our 13. Start this side and put it on. Tighten out. Chuck this one in. Right, and to the other side, exactly the same thing. One's done, just the bottom one left on this side. Okay, now we want to put our engine mounting back on. So we need our spring, we need this, which is our mount. Put our mount on. The engine's not quite where we need it to be. I just need to kind of help it shift over this way a little bit. There we go, that's about centered. It's quite nice and level with the back plate here as well, so I don't need to adjust the just the jack on this occasion. If you're not kind of level, then you will need to do that. What I mean level, I mean the back plate here with the engine plate here. Right, so we need to compress this down, which is not an easy job. Now we need to push this down a long way in order to get one of our bolts on. Sorry, nuts. Nuts are the first thing we're going to do. So we need to, and this again, much easier if it's a two-man job, but we'll see what we can do, just one person. And what I'm going to do actually is not bother with the washer initially. I just want to get some compression on. I actually think I'm going to lift the engine up a bit more. Yeah, that works. Lift the engine up. we should be able to get better. The spring is not as tight then. We just need to make sure we can manoeuvre this into place. So we're going to push down hard now, see whether we can see any sign of a bolt thread. Oh. This is the challenge. It's keeping that down. I can keep it down. Let's pump it up a little bit more. See if we can't help ourselves even more here. Okay, that's good. We got a bit of a bolt on there, so I'm gonna just remind myself. I think it's 17. It is a 17. So what I'm going to do here is tighten this side up and start getting it to go down with me. So that now, I don't know whether you can see this or not very easily. Let me try and zoom in a little bit. Okay, so here we've managed to get this nut on by lifting the engine and allowing the spring to release a little bit. By screwing that up, that's allowed us to open this head up so we see that thread. So what we can do now is get our washer on there and our nut. Then we can remove this one and put the washer back on under this nut, because I haven't got one on for now, and then hopefully we can drop the engine and a little bit and put it back onto the rear cross member. So let me just take you all the way back out again. Okay, so we're going to get our washer and our nut on this side. I need a screwdriver for this, so I need 17 screwdriver, sorry, spanner even. Just gonna, no. So we're gonna start doing this up until we've got a nice amount of thread on there. There's really not much room to manoeuvre around here, so you can take the exhaust off, as I said, but I prefer to do it with the exhaust on, just because even though this is tedious, it can take another 20-30 minutes to get the exhaust off and back on. Right, so that's now fully threaded. So now we'll take this nut off, and if there's two here, or if you've got more strength than me, you might be able to put all this on with the washers in place from the beginning, but I just prefer to do it this way because it saves trying to save losing a washer as you're trying to do it. So we go back on that. We're not going to do these up all the way right now, just want to make sure the thread's fully on the bolt so it's as secure as possible before we're going to then attach. This keeps dropping down, it's very annoying. Just try and make sure it's nice and secure. There we go. Now we should be able to get this to move down a little bit and hopefully get our bolts in place before we just start putting it all back together. A screwdriver here just to to move this slightly. Here we go. Let's see. That's just a bit stiff. Yeah, that should go in nicely now. So we're back to R13. Up here, and we should. Oh, takes a bit of pressure. We need to just watch where it's going. Get it started by hand. So close. Looks like it just wants to come over a little bit. See if we can get in there. I think I've got it. I think it's going in. Yeah, put the other one in, see if we can get this started before we try and do the whole thing up. If you do one too tight, often you can't get any of the others in. This isn't quite going. Our washer's also disappeared. Here it is. Okay, with a bit of manhandling, we've got it on now. So we're going to tighten up this side. Okay, so we're in place with those two. Now we can tighten up the ones at the back. We're going to start with the one on this side, just because the other one is more difficult to get to. And as we do this, we should see the spring compress and the engine come up slightly. That's good on that side. Now by hand tighten this up until we're close, and then bring our spanner back in. See if we can use this side a bit easier if we can. And there we go, we have our engine back on and in place, which means we can now lower our jack and remove that out of the way, and the engine is in place. As usual with these things, suddenly realised bolted the engine back in, but haven't put my earthing grounding cable back in, so got to take the bolt back off. Seems to work out where I got the spanner. Okay, so you need to take this bolt back off and just put this grounding cable on. Just need to get the washer up. Grounding cable can go back on the thread. Washer back on, and nut back on. As much by hand as we can. And tighten out. Okay, there we go. So engine's back on with its earthing cable. Okay, we got our board here which we use to remove the engine. Let's stand it up a little bit because we want to look at the things that we've done. So we've done the opposite, remove engine here. We've actually put the engine back in, which is good. Don't need to do final checks on this one. We've put in the gearbox bolts. This one is further up, so remove the rear mount and cross member, done. Disconnect the throttle and choke. So that's the next thing we'll do, is reconnect the throttle and choke. Oh, so we'll find our choke cable. Need to make sure we've got the right one. The other one's the accelerator cable. So this is the choke cable, and we're going to thread it through a hole at the back of the carburetor here, which acts as a guide if we can find it. There we go. And then our little nut here, it's got a hole in it. We just thread that through. Take a picture of it as well, just so I can do a close-up for you. And if I remember rightly, it's a 7. It is. So just need a 7 and a small pair of pliers. Get my ratchet, hold one side, make sure it's undo up. There we go. What you want to make sure is you don't, as you start doing it up, it doesn't pull the choke back, otherwise the choke will always be on. But that's fine there, that's good. And now it's the turn of the accelerator cable. So for that we need a flathead screwdriver, which we have here. We're going to turn our attention this way slightly. Let's see if we can move it down. Where are we here? Here we are. Yep. So remember to put the cable through the back of the tinware as well, and then we can thread. Actually, I might want to do it the opposite way around. Thread it through here first. Our hole in this bit of plastic comes through, and then we'll just make sure that's it in and secure at the back. There we go. Nice little click. And now we can put the little kind of screw attachments back on. It's got 2, I assume, for safety. I mean, one will probably do, but you don't want your accelerator to come off while you're driving. In place. Just going to pull the accelerator cable through slightly. For some reason it backed off a little bit. So just do these screws up. One. Not the easiest things to get to. Keep slipping. I think that's done it. Let's just And you get a slightly bigger screwdriver head. Yeah, that's nice and tight. So put down the accelerator and that will pull those back. Yeah, that's good. The next job looking at the board was our fuel. I put this bit of hose on just to protect it while you get the car, so we can remove that. We can undo our clip here. It's a flathead. So I'm just going to open this up. Hopefully open it up a little bit, slide it back. Never seem to want to go off quite as easy as they come on. Sometimes it's just easier to take the bolt out, open it up slightly, and then you can, even now, struggling, there we go. Okay, and we put our little bolt in here, so we can take that bolt back out. That was just to stop the flow of fuel. I need to bend our pipe back round slightly, because we bent it out of the way. Tighten that back up. And then we can put our bolt back through, or we can drop it, either way. Actually, these gloves are starting to get a bit worn, so I need to replace those in a second. Again, you want to do this up really tight. Even when you think you've done it up tight enough, sometimes there's another turn and a half in. There we go, nice and tight, that's not coming off. Okay, good. So, fuel back on. Now it was the hoses. So the conveyor hose. Just slide this back on the cowling. Sometimes difficult to work out whether you got it quite on or not. I don't think I have here. No, I haven't. Not quite. Come off much easier than they go back on. That's for sure. Okay, that's good now. One. Now I'm not going to put the other big hose back on just now because it's easier to do that from underneath the car on this occasion. So we are back to remove starter. So we want to put the starter motor back in. So as well as the starter motor and putting that back in, we also have to the two remaining connections on the engine, one either side, to the gearbox, and we have the plate which goes on underneath the car. So we want to do that. So hopefully we can see what we're doing. Just move myself here a little bit. So I'm actually going to start with the bottom here first. And want to slot our starter back into place. There we go, that's back in where it should be. I'll put our nut back on the engine, just here. Drop it behind us. This is 13. And take our bolt here and put this one in for the start securing the starter motor. It's quite the right place, I think. Okay, we've got there now. Ratchet. Nope. That one's in place. Then while we're under here, talked about doing this hose, just pull that on, very easy to do from here. We've got another engine bolt, let's get the right one, here we go, which is going in on this side. So that's our last standalone engine bolt, and then we've got the nut and the bolt for the starter still to go in. So that's on. We need our small bit of tinware, which you can see, which protects our flywheel and clutch. Just goes on like this. These are the 10s. Just start them off by hand. They should now hold. Now I can see. Try and make sure I've got my washers. This one doesn't want to go in. There we go. Just needed to move the tinware just very slightly. Now we've got our final two connections back on the starter motor, which I started quite a long time ago. So if you remember, one's a bolt, sorry, one's a nut and one's a nut and a bolt. I'm going to put the nut and bolt through first, so the bolt goes through the back and the nut goes on the other side. If you remember, the nut is a difficult nut to get to, so you kind of just going to do it up by hand first. That's as far as it wants to go. Right, yeah, it's going to go a bit further. I'm going to get my 13 ratchet. Okay, and now I need 13 spanner just to hold this in place. Got 13 somewhere, here it is. So I'm just going to hold that nut in place. I'll just ratchet it up. And that's tight. And then got our other nut. Going to go behind here on the top of the starter motor. and it's always brilliant when you drop your washer as you're trying to do the job. Here we go, got it now. Right. Gonna ratchet in. Start ratcheting that. Just going to switch to a long 13 just because it's pretty, the thread's quite long, so I think I'm getting impeded on the small one. So let me go over here, make sure I'm going the right way, which I wasn't. Was being impeded. There we go. Nice and tight. Suck it out. Okay. Whoa, we're nearly there. Right, all we've got left is the electrics, this plate here, and the bumpers. And the just the bit of tin that goes on top of there, the air housing. Right, so next I'm going to do electrics, I think. So this is where we can refer back to our pictures that we took when we were uninstalling the engine. First thing we're going to do is over on this side. First one we got is this brown wire, which looking at our photo you won't be able to see quite, but it fits down here and plugs in. So that's, I was going to say, an easy one. Only easy if you can get it in the angle you need it to be. Oh, never had a problem with that before. I just couldn't find it. There we go. That's on now. Right, so our other two, this one goes on there, and our thick black one goes on here. Right. So that's that one. I'll do up that in a second. And this one goes on here. Okay, so 10mm to do those up. just using a ratchet spanner for this. Make it quick. Nice and tight there. And same with this one. Nice and tight there. This is our positive, so we've got red on here. Get up that tight in a second. And this is our negative, so we got our negative on there. I think they're 8. Yeah, so just give that a tighten. Make sure they're nice and tight, but not over tight. Okay, going to put on our high tension lead as well, and then just take our pressure, oil pressure, just push that on, push the shield over. Right, now we just need to put our plate in back here. Plug it in. There we go. Sorry, our exhaust shield, not bracket. Putting that in now. Don't forget our cable here, our grounding cable. Oh gosh, that's gone in at a funny angle. Oh god, it really has. Oh, there we go. Okay, and looking for our 10 ratchet again. Just here. Make sure this is nice and tight to get good earth. Okay, before we go any further, we have on our board here, hopefully we can see that we have reconnected our throttle and choke. We've reconnected our fuel lines, we've reconnected our hoses, we've reconnected our starter, we've reconnected our electrics. We've also put back the exhaust shield, tin under the car and the flywheel shield. So all we have left to do is the bumper and reconnecting the battery. Okay, we're at our final step of reattaching the bumper. The first thing we're going to do is just mount the nudge bars. So here we have them. Need to work out which one goes where. This one this side, this one this side. And first of all, we're just going to mount the end positions on these. So we've got our box of bits and pieces, and these are 13s. We've got our ratchet, and to work out which of these are for what. Okay, so we're just going to put this one in first. You can do it quite tight, but not up all the way. And I'm just going to leave that so we can turn this to the side slightly at the moment. We'll take our second one, do the same thing on this side. Need that one a little bit loose for the moment. I'll tighten it up in a minute. Okay. So this is the tricky bit. So we'll have our rubber gasket. Goes on our spacer. Then, if I can remember, gasket goes on that, then the bumper, then this spacer on our chrome, and the bolt goes through the nudge bar, through this spacer, through the bumper, through this spacer, and then we tighten the bolt up from the other side. So this can be a little bit tricky. Or more than a little bit tricky, especially doing it solo. Right, so in an attempt not to damage the bodywork, I've put a cloth over both ends of the bumper. So if we put the bumper inside the nudge bars, hopefully we won't scratch anything. Just going to rest it temporarily on those nudge bars. So we're first going to try and locate this side. So we're going to put our spacer on, if we can. Round slightly. Okay, so that side is not on fully, but just on enough. I'm going to put the nut on the back of this one, just to stop it from moving around too much. I'm going to do it tight, so I'm going to need a little bit of movement, but hopefully that will help us put the other side in. It's much easier with two people, this job, much easier, but it's only me today, so we just have to work it out. Okay, so I know that's aligned. Swing this round. This is the hard bit really, because this doesn't quite align very well. There we go, through one. Right. Oh, we're through. Well, that's good news. Now we can just adjust everything slightly. Just about feel the other side there. We got a washer. And our nut. Let's try and thread this on. Can't find the thread now. Where's the thread gone? Where are we? We're here. Okay. Exhaust is again was getting your way. Okay, that side's now on. Not fully tight, but we'll sort that out in a minute. Try and adjust the rubber. And now okay, right, so I'm going to take the nuts back off this side. Okay, that's off. This is roughly in the right place. Need our nudge spacer, so try and take that out. Feed this through. See if we can get it all to line up. This is the hardest part, just trying to get it all back through the hole in the right place. Right, the metal's where it needs to be. Unfortunately, the gasket's not. That's right now. Okay, good. Washer, I just dropped on the floor. And go on. And now we're looking for our nuts that we took off. Which are on the floor as well. That's on. Right, so now we just need to tighten these up and hopefully then just do the final nudge bar ones. Socket. You need to be careful here, you don't want to leave it loose, but you also don't want to over tighten it because you don't want the rubber. Oh, it just shifted there and loosened up a bit, so obviously I hadn't over tightened it. It feels pretty solid. I can do the other side. Just adjusted as well on this side. Feels like there's quite a bit to go on this side. Almost tightening up now. Threads all the way through the bolt, which is good. That feels very solid. So now we should just be able to put our nudge bars in on the bottom. Tight. Take this off now. Just tighten up this one, which we left a little bit loose. We don't need to over tighten it. Shouldn't fall off. There's no weight to it or anything that should mean that it fall off. Yep, that's good. Tighten this up. Okay. So just coming back to our board, gone through everything else. Oh, it's just a case of putting the bumpers back and reconnecting the battery, which we can do now at the front. There's our battery reconnected as well. So we've finished. Engine back in, job done.